So exciting. Okay, and this is me. So am I live? I am live here, but how do I know if I'm live online?
It says live.
It says it's
Right.
live.
It says live.
It says live
25
on
seconds.
Facebook.
No, it says live on
It
StreamYard there.
says live on ours, but it's supposed to stream to Facebook and such as well. Oh, it says that I am live. Let's see if it is that way on Facebook. It does. Okay, guys. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey. How are y'all doing this evening? This is my first time using StreamYard, but I'm so very excited because I have 2025 IVR participants and finishers with me. This was like one of the most adrenaline filled adventures I've ever been on. So you guys have been with me throughout this whole journey. It was Reef's fault. We all know that. He is the one who encouraged me to apply. Even though I was like scared out of my mind, I'm like, okay, well, what if they accept me? Then that means I have to do it. And I said, what if they don't accept me? Then I'll be sad because I didn't get in. But lo and behold, I got in. And when I tell you it was one of the craziest things, and I'm like, I've rode this many miles before, I've rode this many days before, but it's different. So I am going to bring in our guests so that they can, and they're very experienced as well, so they can introduce themselves and tell you guys all about it too. Let's see who we have. Ta-da! Hi, y'all!
What's up?
Introduce
Hey, Piper.
yourselves.
How you doing?
Anyone can go first, Carlos. You start. You're at the top of at the top.
Start what?
You gotta introduce yourself. Who
um,
you
I'm
are?
Carlos. Originally IBA writer number 61805, and when I finished the IBR, I converted to IBA number 716 after I got the correction email because the rally master who shall remain nameless messed up on quite a few people's IBA numbers when they were issuing the new ones. And initially on my plaque it said 717, and then I got the email and I'm actually 716. So
So that
um,
meant you scored a little higher than.
no, everyone below like 7 or after 710 or 11, he skipped a digit apparently or something.
Oh,
So it was
okay,
everyone after that point that got a new number.
okay.
Um, had to get their number reissued or something.
Oh, understood, understood.
Yeah, it
Okay,
happened to Chrissy. It happened to Matt. It happened to a few people.
a whole bunch of people. Okay,
Yeah,
so then your numbers are actually one off,
one
one
higher than
higher
what they
than.
originally gave us. Yeah.
Okay, cool,
So
cool,
they
cool.
said they were going to send us new plaques in the mail and stuff.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh,
Yeah.
so then Chrissy is 723. That's my
Right.
birthday. That is what.
723. Right.
So that is the coolest thing. That is so
That's
cool. That
awesome.
is so cool. That is, that is. So who do we have here next?
Bill Caritas here, IBA 685, and had a great time. Second IBR. My rookie year was 23, so it was good to come back and make another appearance.
That is awesome. Awesome. And who else do we have?
We got Chris and Stella Wiltshire.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
I was originally 66217, and we had our rookie IBR year in 23, and we got 675 and 676. Yeah, there you go.
Congratulations. Congratulations. So Bill, Chris, and Stella, you guys are not rookies. You're not new to this. So what was different about this year versus 2023?
From my standpoint, it was less pressure because I already had my three-digit number, so that took a lot of stress off of me. That in 23, I was very focused on making sure I finished regardless of where I finished at. I just wanted to finish and get that 3-digit number, and then life was good. And so for
That's
this year,
facts.
that was off the table. Already had it, so it was a much more I wouldn't say stress free, but it was certainly less stress about that because I knew that no matter what, I already had my number and I was good to go. So for me, that was the main difference, at least.
Yeah, we came in with different goals this time. I think we wanted to try and medal. That was the primary goal that all three of us shared.
Hmm.
Um, and so last year, the Team Farfo, the name Team Farfo, started last year when Bill and myself went out and did a ride around the Four Corners and a Trans Canada ride, trying to figure out which of the things that we cut out of 23 we would be happy to include in a 25 approach and therefore be able to go harder and try and actually medal. So that's where the Farfo came from for our team name.
Now, did you medal?
We did. We did.
Gold.
We
Awesome.
Congratulations. Go, go, go. So we'll get into what ride you actually selected in order to get that gold medal status. Now, Carlos, this was your rookie year. What was your approach to, coming into the rally, and what were your
Uh,
expectations if you had any?
so my expectations were just to go out and sit there, twist out, and have a good time, and God willing, finish, obtain my 3-digit, and make it home in one piece to my family. But on my way out there, I rode my bike up from Knoxville out to Iowa, and kind of like a warm-up ride. Prior to starting the IBR this year, I hadn't ridden any significant miles in like 2 years since my son was born. So I
Mm.
was super rusty and super. I mean, I've have a lot of miles under my belt. I've ridden the Hokahay. I've done 100 ccc gold with triple nested BBGs and that kind of thing, but
Mhm.
never to the extent of 11 days, 11,000. I mean, it's just it's completely different than anything else. So I really didn't know what to expect. I had my goals, and at the initial meeting, when Paul was like, "This is the bare minimum that you need to do to be considered a finisher of the 2025 IBR," and it's like kind of already pre-routed for you. He's like, "You're not gonna medal, you're not, but you're gonna get your 3-digit." I was like, "Sign me up." Let's go. That's me. And also on my way out, I was like, what do I want to see on this trip that I've never seen before? And the very first thing that came to mind, because I knew we were only like 8 or 9 hours away, was Mount Rushmore. And so when he presented the 91 loop ride and the very first stop was Mount Rushmore, it was kind of like my higher power talking to me and being like, look, this is the route for you. Pick this route. So I did. I did, and I called up Nancy and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna ride the 91 loop, this, that, and the other." And then I'm downstairs getting my bike ready and getting everything together, and I see my brother Reef, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, what loop are you gonna do? Which way you headed?" And he's like, "I'm gonna do the 91 loop." And I just looked at him like, "Well, me too." He goes, "All right, I'll see you out there." I was like, "All right, cool." And the first day, I just kind of trying to get my feet wet, trying to keep the emotions down and the excitement down and not crash, because the adrenaline's pumping. And once I finally got out of Iowa and I started getting some miles, I felt pretty good. And I ended up making it to Mount Rushmore as it got dark and it was raining. And I ended up running into Reef there, and we ended up riding as a team the rest of the rally together.
Oh, cool.
And it
Cool.
was it was just an incredible experience. For me, it was a life-changing, amazing cross country journey, just kind of finding myself. And for Reef, it was like another Tuesday. And it was
Sounds
just, it
about
was
right.
freaking awesome. He dragged my ass all over the country. I do not feel like after having finished and ridden at his pace and doing what we had to do to finish on his clock, I don't feel that as a rookie I would have um, been able to do it on my own. There's no way. I couldn't have kept up that pace by myself for 30 plus hours that we did at the end.
So when you say that pace at the end, you had to do something different than you had been doing the other.
Um, yeah, because like I mean, we were riding a lot each day, but according to Reef, and this was told to me by him and a couple other people at the banquet, we didn't really ride hard. We never rode more than 20 hours a day. We never went, a night without sleep. We never, it wasn't like the Hokahay where you laid down in a Loves for 2 hours and then kept pushing. We never did that the whole rally. Every
Mhm.
night we were at a Hilton Garden Inn, we were at a Hampton Inn, we were, it was nice. And on the big rest nights, we stayed at a big Hilton with a restaurant, went downstairs, had food, got a good night's sleep. I mean, it was really, it was cush. It was nice, but at the end, in order to make the finish with some cushion time on the back end, we really had to push, especially that front that came through the Upper Peninsula and through Milwaukee and all that on our last day. It really slowed us down. So we had to ride through the night and push like 1,800 miles, I think like in 27 or 28 hours, whatever it was that we did. I don't even remember, but it was that night was hectic, and literally we pulled over at the Love's two exits before the exit for the hotel, coming back into Corralville. And I was like, bro, I can't even see right now, like give me, he's like, come on man, the scoring table's open, let's go get your gas and let's go. It was about 7:20 and we're like maybe 10 miles out, and I'm like, brother, I'm riding on a 6-lane highway right now. Mind you, it's only 2 lanes because it's under construction. And I'm just like, so he really pushed me, and he really, I owe my 3 digits to him, and I told him that at the finish, and I'll say that story in 30 years. Without Reef, there's no way I finish. Absolutely not.
That is crazy. So, Bill, I have a picture of you and Mr. Reef. Let me see if I can get that too. When you guys got to the finish line as well. So, because you ran in 2023 and you weren't as pressed about finishing for your number, how was your strategy in approaching this? And like, how did you feel? Even though I know your goals were different, like Chris and Stella said, how did you approach choosing your route? Because there were three options. You can either do loops for 3 legs, do the 91 loop, or do the 2011 loop. What made you come to that determination for you guys for your loop?
Well, for me, I go coming in as very much like Chris Casella said, and we had decided we were going to be a team way before. I mean, since last November, we had been talking about when this happens. When it first was announced that it was going to happen, we immediately decided we're going to do this together, and as such, our goal was the three of us had pretty much nailed down that our goal was that well, we had several goals, but first was we decided we're going to have fun. That was number one. That was and if a decision had to be made between one thing and another, and one of them was fun, that was going to be the one we were going to choose. So fun was certainly it. We also wanted a chance to medal, and we were hoping for maybe a bronze, but we wanted to improve our performance from our freshman year, if you will, our rookie year. And when the results were put out, or when the options were put out, rather, and they said, "Here's how you can do it." And the 2011 route was put out there and said, "This, if you complete it correctly, is a gold medal." I'm like, "Say no more. You had me." And we pretty much, I think the three of us saw that, and it kind of went off, but we didn't actually come to that decision immediately. We actually went out and evaluate each of the options. We looked at them. We said, for example, one of the out and back kinds where you had to come in every 3 days, or for every checkpoint, was the ride to Hyder. And we put that in. We're like, well, there's no way we can do that. That's just silly.
Fascinating.
So yeah, it's like, why would I do that? So we threw that away. Then we started evaluating each of those loops in leg one to see if there was, what was there, what kind of points could you get, and we realized how hard it was going to be to work and get to the point of medaling. And as it turned out, then we sat down, we looked at the 2011 loop, and not only did that seem doable to us, even though it was over 11,000 miles, we're like,
Mhm.
okay, we've got to do 1,000 miles a day. That's it. So every day you wake up, you're going to do a saddle sore at a minimum. And that was just a given. And when we did the route, I don't want to take the entire story. I'm going to let Chris tell part of this and Stella, but when we figured it out, we thought we had done it wrong because we're like, this can't be right. And with that, I'm going to turn that part over and let Chris do it because he was the master router, if you will, and I think he should tell that part of the story.
Okay, so we were plugging away hard in base camp on that Monday morning, and pretty much, long story short, by the time we'd finished putting everything in, we were going to be turning up in Coralville at the finish on Wednesday night at 8:30 or something at night.
What?
I was
I
like,
know,
I
right?
know these guys were taking luggage down and unloading bikes while I was doing the final few points in there, and I came to this realization by myself in the hotel room and freaked out. Right, I sent texts to these two saying, "I'm freaking out. Come back up here as soon as you can, please. I'm not sure if I've screwed this up." And
For one, do you feel like you had enough time to route? Because we had our meeting at 5, breakfast was at 6, we got sent to our rooms at 7, and we had to be back outside at 11. So it was like 4 hours to do it. So you felt like that was enough time to go through whether you were coming back every 3 days, or I mean, coming back 3 times, or doing 11 or 91. Like, was that enough time for you to decipher that? Because Bill said you weighed all the options.
yeah,
But
well, I should have listened to Bill Moore in this case. We should have gone with our gut, and we should have followed it a bit stronger. I tend to want to do everything to the nth degree. It's just the way I'm wired. So it was me that was pushing for us to actually go and actually have a look at all of the options. But actually, I think we wasted a little bit of time in doing that. We probably could have saved 25, 30 minutes just by going, okay, look, this looks good. Let's just do it and focus on it. But instead, I did more work than we needed to. Anyhow, um, the bit that we forgot was anything to do with meal bonuses, right? We didn't put any time in on our dailies for meal bonuses.
oh,
And meal bonuses actually, it turned out, weren't compulsory, right? They were something that Paul wanted us to do, as
mhm.
as were the audio bonuses as well. They were there for the taking if we wanted to do them to get extra points. But as
You
Bill
didn't
said,
need them
we didn't need points because we were going for the gold. All we needed to do was
anyway,
correctly finish all of the waypoints along the capital route,
and the rest.
and we could have even done a Brandon on this, and we could have gone into negative points, and then got a 0, and we could have used all of that without sacrificing the,
Nomad.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have done that, and we wouldn't have sacrificed the gold in doing that, right? So there we go. There he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a,
My guy.
he's a superstar.
Yo.
He's a legend. Grand stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, did we have enough time? We had enough time to get the route sorted, but the timing on the route wasn't perfect. The speeds that we were routing across that route weren't perfect either. But at least the track never had to change. Um, so the assets that we'd built in the routing on that morning were usable throughout the whole of our effort. The only thing that we did do, and we sort of modified this a few times in the first 2 or 3 days, was we changed our routing speeds based on what we were actually doing. So when we got out there on the road, we then actually took lessons from that and then adjusted our routing speeds to then properly propagate a more accurate arrival time. And it was still, even then, it was still looking at late Thursday night, and we held that late Thursday night right through until we were actually on Thursday when we were chasing that front down, and we had 13 hours in hand, and we adjusted what we were doing on the Thursday to stay behind the front, and that slowed our Thursday down to the point that it elongated our Thursday to the point that we actually got really tired, and then we made a good decision to stop, actually take a hotel stop on Thursday night, take 4 hours, 3.5 hours off the road, let the front move through, and then on the Friday morning we actually had a really pleasant ride in to the finish, and we got in at about 8 o'clock or something,
So
something like
when
that.
you said that you adjusted your route to the speed, were you at all concerned with all of the many warnings that our rally master gave us about speeding, like not going over, not being 10 over, and the peace officer not stopping you guys? Were you at all concerned? And when you said you adjusted it after riding the first day, did you adjust it for a lesser speed or a
Yeah,
higher speed?
Yeah, we actually adjusted it down. We slowed the routing speeds down to extrapolate a longer route, time wise, which is how it moved from Wednesday night to Thursday night. What Bill said was key. We knew how many miles we needed to do each day. So as long as we were knocking out a minimum of 1,000 miles each day, our stoppage place could actually vary, and we did do a degree of uh, on the fly decisions around where we were going to stop each day. Like we didn't book any accommodation until we're actually riding on the day.
Mm.
Um, and so we kept tally as to where we were, how far we were along the route. And as long as we were topping that 1,000 plus miles a day, every day, all the way through, we knew that we would. I mean, it's very simple maths, right? We knew that we'd end up turning up at the right time.
So, Stella, what was your responsibility? Did you find the hotels while the guys were, operating the bikes? Like as you got closer to the end of the day and 1,000 miles, like were you looking for the hotel accommodations, or were you looking for other things, or just making sure to stay on track for everything else?
It was easier for the guys to sort out the accommodation because they got the whole route planned out, so they knew where we were going to be at a certain point in time. So
Mhm.
I was just cracking the whip, trying to get them to get out of bed in the mornings and make sure we've got the right photos for the checkpoints. Sorry, for the bonus points, and yeah, just trying to keep everything on track as much as possible.
Do you know that? So I asked for my report, and one of the pictures that I turned in had a red line through it. And I'm like, oh, I know that can't be. And so I went back to the book, the Earl server, which was the BMW in SoCal. Your motorcycle was supposed to be in the picture as well, which is so crazy because I took a picture with on my bike. I took a picture with my bike and most of the photos, but that is not the photo I submitted. So I was like, oh my goodness. If I don't know if that would have like DM asked me or not, if he'd gave me an opportunity to turn in like the right one, because it would have been at the table and not beforehand, because I did take a wrong picture and I had to notify them and then email the right one and they dropped it back in. But I was like, oh my gosh. So did that happen to you guys? Did anything happen out of the ordinary than other than what you planned on this ride?
Photograph wise, we were really careful because obviously, having done it previously, we know that if you don't take the right photo, then they're gonna, yeah, there you go. And certainly for Chris and myself, I needed to be in the photo because I was the pillion.
Mhm.
So as long as you got exactly what they needed in the photograph, then yeah, and
So was
your
this the
flag,
extra
obviously.
one? Because there's no flag in it.
No,
Or this
this
was your
one.
selfie? Was this your selfie picture?
That was our final
Oh,
checkpoint.
yeah. So we'd already
Ah,
taken the
Oh,
final checkpoint photo, sorry, bonus point photo. So that was just a photo for us.
to
That was just
finish
a
the loop.
selfie team one, yeah. That didn't get submitted. That was just
no,
for
that was
us.
just a personal one. Yeah.
Remember, goal one was fun.
Yes. So what did you submit? Because remember, at the end, you had to close the loop. So what picture did you use to submit the whole loop to close it?
That one needed to be a full picture of your bike with the rally flag and the pillion.
Mm.
Oh,
So
okay.
So the same as the rest
at,
bonuses.
at that same point, the one that you just showed, where the three of us were there,
Mm-hmm.
at that exact same location, there was just a picture in the dark of the bike
The bike and the
and the
flag.
bits that we needed. Yeah, yeah.
And Carlos, what did you submit as your picture? This is you with at the Forrest
Um,
Gump point.
Forrest
oh, that
Gump.
was at the Forest Gump. Yeah, the Monument Valley. That was just amazing. Yeah, that was in Reno.
Mm-hmm.
I think my final photo, it was the same photo as the one I had submitted for the bonus, which it was in front of a lion in front of some car dealership or something. It was like a lion statue in McHenry, Illinois, in front of a car dealership.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just used the same photo twice to
And
submit the
so
loop.
this was the 20, or this was the 1991. This was the
Yeah.
91 route here. And so I noticed that it did try to take you a little bit through Canada. I think that's what really threw me off too. My passport did not come as it was supposed to in my route. When I routed, took me through Canada. Now,
It was
obviously,
the shortest way to go from New York to Michigan was through Canada.
yeah, like, and so when you route, like, it gives you the optimum way, and my
Mm.
mind was just stuck on that like forever. Like, you need your passport, you need your passport. And like I didn't even leave the hotel until 3:30
Oh,
because I was
jeez.
on the phone with
Trying to
FedEx,
get your
like,
passport. Oh
and
man.
it was in Memphis. I'm
Hmm.
like, how in the world did it get to Memphis? Like, why is my passport in Memphis? Like, I don't understand that. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Like, that was really crazy to me. But I would say, like, what was one of the things that you can take away for like a new rider wanting to do it? Like, what's the most important thing for you when preparing for something so extreme?
There is no preparing for this, man. You can do certificate rides. You can, people who ride the Hoka, I've ridden both. I mean, okay, you can ride, but can you route? Can you rally? That I think they made a distinction of that in one of the daily reports. That a lot of the new riders were long distance riders, but they weren't necessarily rally riders. So, I mean, I had done a couple of smaller rallies in the past, like 8 and 12 hour rallies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had never done like Heart of Texas or LDX or any kind of extended rallies. So and I always go to the IBA parties, so it's kind of like a rally, but not really. Um, so I kind of had a little bit of experience with it, but not really a lot. And I leaned on people primarily in the Hokahe community who have done the IBR in the past. Ignacio Morani, Nacho, he successfully completed the IBR, I think in 23. So, he helped me a lot with the base camp and that kind of thing. And then I'm also really good friends with Greg Rice, and he kind of went through his like long whole scientific thing with the spreadsheets and the circles, and it was way too much for my simple brain. So I
I
kind of
looked at that too, and I was like,
yeah, I was just
"What?"
like, yo, I
I
don't
was
get
like,
it.
"What?"
Like the Excels, the spreadsheets and this and all that. And then, Reef was just like, bro, here. He sends me his map. And he's like, look, I already put it on the Google map. Every point we gotta hit is black. All the ones along the way that are red, they're right along the route. So I'm gonna hit those two. He goes, let's just go point to point and it'll be fine. And so we did. And everything that I had tried to do in base camp and all this like loading on the GPS as a backup and all, I didn't use none of it. I had my iPad mounted on the handlebar, and I was with Reef point to point, and then he had better cell service than me, so I kind of had to depend on him for a couple of them because up there in the UP, T-Mobile sucks, and he's on Verizon, and he's like, come on, man, you got to get a better signal, like
So I too
and
had T-Mobile, and I had two T-Mobile phones. I had to get hotspots at Beartooth Pass from strangers, and also at Yellowstone because I downloaded offline maps. No go.
nothing. Yeah,
It
same.
nothing
No, I
at
thought
all.
about for my next go around because I definitely want to go back and try to medal next time. This time I was just trying to secure my 3 digit. I thought about just getting one of those mobile Starlink, and just strapping it to the bike and have a constant Wi-Fi signal,
That,
because
that that makes sense. So,
yeah.
Bill, you guys use Basecamp. Do you? But you have you always used Basecamp, or did you start it in 2023? Like, are you used to it? Are you familiar with it? Are you comfortable? Like, how does that compare to other like routing systems that you have used?
Well, for me, I've used Basecamp for well over 10 years. And so I'm incredibly familiar with Basecamp. It's kind of second nature to how to
Mhm.
use it, and I don't even think about it. But I also uh, the Greg Rice Excel spreadsheet that we were talking about. I took some of what he had in that thing, and then Chris and I, over time, have developed our own
Mhm.
spreadsheet that actually I kind of think does more than what Greg's does, and it's easier for us to manipulate things in. And so we've actually gotten kind of crazy with that, and what it does. It's at times it just boggles my mind what we've done with that. And we incorporate that with so many other tools on the fly that we use, POI viewer, in route.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think what other ones we use, but there's like quite a few different tools. Garmin Drive, Garmin Explorer, all those things, tread, that we all manipulate
Hey,
on the fly
nomad.
as we're going. And I think that's just something that you have to get experience using those tools, because if the first time you're using them is in the IBR, they're not going to be any use to you. You have to be, it
Correct.
has to be second nature to you. And for me, that's just kind of what we've done. And I'm not going to name names, but I remember a certain young woman showing up at a rally one time doing her routing on a paper map. I don't know who that was, in West Virginia
Yo,
one
that's
day.
awesome.
And
That's
that
awesome.
person came in second place
Yeah,
with
yes,
Captain Bill.
yes,
Yeah,
she did. Yes, she did.
I
I
didn't
was
know what
beside
I was
myself.
doing. That was
That's
my very
awesome.
first rally. I didn't know what I was
With
doing.
a
Like
paper map. That's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that.
and got second place. Got second place with a paper
That's
map.
awesome. Oh, Piper,
I
Yeah.
you
was
ready? You
drawing
ready for the
stars.
Hokahay, man? You're ready for the Hokahay.
I
Paper
actually
maps.
in Mexican Hat, Utah. Again, my signal was out, and that is the night that I slept outside with my tent. Thank God for Luke for going across the street with me and getting the tent, because I would have been like, excuse my language, ass out. So I'm
Mhm.
there, and that was when we had to stop at 8 p.m. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm trying to get to Cortex, Colorado, or even if I would have got to is it Butte or Butte? Butte, Utah. Butte, Utah. I was trying to get there, but I didn't know like the distance, because again, my GPS was not working. I did not have a signal. And the lady in the gas station was so mean. I'm like, do you have an atlas that I can use? And she was like, the store has one. May I see it, please? Please, ma'am. And so I'm opening it and I'm flipping. And I'm like, wait, I was there for like 20 minutes trying to look at this. Like those 20 minutes I could have used to probably get to Bud or Butte, and then it was telling me to go to Brandlin, and Brandlin was like 48 miles up, and I'm like, I'm not using those 48 miles, and then 48 is going to turn into 96. I'm not doing it. And then so I'm like, I'm just going to go. I just got on the bike, and I was like, and I just like barreled out of there. And then I'm like, what am I going to do? So right when I got to that intersection, it was like, turn right for 7 miles, turn, and it was like 7:55. I'm like, I know I can do 7 miles in 5 minutes, but when I make that left, what the hell is going to be there? And I was like, I'm looking around, and it was like a native like reservation ground of
Oh,
I don't even know. It was like some type of water conservation, something. But what I did see is the sign that said under 24-hour surveillance. And I was like, oh, I'm going to stay here, because if something happens to me, at least they can roll back the video, and they'll still see something. They're gonna
They'll
see,
come find you.
they're gonna come find me. And so like, and it was
wow.
all gravel. Gravel is my nemesis. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, God, what are you trying to tell me? I was like, because I couldn't leave the bike like on the road. I'm like, I have to walk over there with this bike. And I'm like, and it's heavy, and it's like the wheels are turning, and it's like 7:56, 7:57. I'm like, let me just stop this clock, because what I'm not going to do is DNF because I didn't get somewhere. And so I'm like, dang. And the little instruction said, pitch a tent in 5 minutes. And I'm like, we gonna see about this, because I had never used this brand before. It was, and I was like, I had food, and I'm like, I literally just passed 2 cows too, and then there was I saw boars and a jackrabbit, and I was like, they're gonna get me. They're gonna get me, and they're gonna get my food. And I was like, baby Jesus, please protect me from humans and animals, like, because I didn't like, cars were like stopping there, and then like, so when I set up the tent and got in it, a car was like idling for like 45 minutes, and I didn't want to unzip the tent and him see a lady in there. So now I'm like peeking to see like who's out there, and it was like an old white Eldorado, and I'm like, no, this can't be. This can't, like, what's happening right now? And I laid in my helmet on my back like this in the tent for 8 hours because I was from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. I set my
Oh
alarm
my God.
for 3:15. I said, I'm going to get up, make sure this tent, I was going to be sitting on that bike at 3:59. So at 4 a.m., I was out of there. Like, I was like, what is going
Crazy.
What an adventure.
it was so did you guys have anything like that? Like any like close calls to your checkpoints, or were you in place really early? And did you understand all the checkpoints? Remember the third leg was like a minimum of 4 hours for 3, but you had to have 16 altogether.
Hmm.
And I know he
Yes.
had a lot of calls because he sent out an email explaining it again. So did you have any questions about any of like the instructions that were given to us?
And not really.
Yeah.
No, not really. We kind of read it and understood it and then did it.
Well, I think it also helps though. Like for myself, I've ridden a lot of Paul Tong rallies. Heart of Texas is multiple Heart of Texas rallies, the LDX rallies, and he's fairly consistent on how he does things. And knowing how what he says and reading it, I clearly understood what he meant. And that's one thing about Paul. He doesn't play games when it comes to that. That's for sure.
Oh man. And so
Gosh,
Carlos, you were good with yours too? Like you
I
knew what
mean,
he was saying
first of
and
all,
everything else?
shout out to Paul Tong because this experience was, I've never ridden a Paul Tong rally in contrast to what you're saying, Bill, and it was just a fucking incredible experience. It was just so amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
It was awesome, and I told him that at the finish. I was like, I was in tears. I was crying so hard when I read finisher in my email that he started crying. Like his big, tall, 7 foot pop, and he's like shedding a tear because I'm in tears, bawling because this has
Yeah.
been a goal. I did my very first saddle sore 1,010 years ago, almost to the day of the start of the IBR,
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
and
Wow.
I did it on the same motorcycle that I rode in the IBR.
That's
Wow.
cool.
I traded that bike in 2018 for a newer Goldwing, and then found it for sale last year. Bought it back and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna register for the rally and see what happens."
Nice.
Wow.
And
That's
I
That's
bought the
amazing.
awesome.
bike. Yeah, I bought
That
the
is
bike
pretty
back,
amazing.
and I finished my first rally almost 10 years to the day.
There you
Wow.
go.
And I think I have the distinction as being the only person to hit a deer and finish on the same bike.
That is what, yes.
Uh,
So what
because
happened with that?
Tara was like, "Oh, you're a badass because you finished on the same bike you hit the deer with." I don't think anybody else did that because I think there were like 4 or 5 people that had deer strikes. One or two like didn't continue, and then the other people switched bikes. But
Well, I'll
we
tell you, there was one other one because Mike Kazicki, a good friend of mine, was in the IBR, and actually the
he
deer
hit a
hit him.
deer.
Yeah, the deer hit him
Oh, I
actually.
had no idea. No
Yeah,
shit.
he didn't hit it on the front, but the deer hit him in the side and tore off some of the plastic and stuff. And he put it back on together with duct
And
tape
he
and
finished
stuff,
on the same bike. Oh,
and finished
awesome!
on the
I'm
same
glad that
bike.
makes two of us. Then that
There
makes
you
two of
go.
us.
There you go. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
freaking
yeah.
awesome. I
Crazy.
love that. Yeah, Paul was like, "Are you gonna finish?" And I was like, "Can I let you know in the morning after a hot shower and some ibuprofen?"
So were
Because
you
the
injured at all? Like did
Yeah,
you
I still have a black and blue on my left thigh. I didn't know what it was. It was funny. We were getting gas in Pagosa Springs in Colorado, and we were going to head over the mountain pass to get to the interstate where our hotel was, and like 160 miles away. And Reef is like, "Yo, we got to get off this mountain pass. I don't want to hit a deer for the third time in my life." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do
do
that,
you
bro."
feel
And
like he jinxed it?
listen, yeah, did he jinx it? We made the left out of the gas station. We're going down the road. I look down to hit something on my GPS, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see Reef swerve. And when I see Reef swerve, I look up. I don't see anything, but I swerve, and I just feel the impact. And I didn't know what I hit until it whipped around and his head landed in my lap, and I saw the antlers, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Oh
And then
man.
I pushed it off of me, and I stopped. I managed to keep the bike up, And then I stopped, and yeah, the whole fairing in the front was all cracked up. The trunk got all cracked up and everything. It was just
Wow.
You know, that's
terrible.
what happens when you follow a sailor around. You know, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
No, I saw your post that said my ancestors navigated with the moon and the stars, and I get lost with my GPS. I hollered when I saw it. I was like, that is so true. Like, because a lot of times, like when I was riding, like it was, and like I don't know if I was riding like faster than my GPS. Well, obviously I was riding faster than my GPS because it was like turn, and I'm like, the hell, I'm already past that. Like, what are we talking about? Like, so I had to like U-turn a lot and go back. I'm like, okay, Tamika, what are you doing? I
Oh,
was like,
U-turns are part of every rally. Come on, Piper. Every
I
ride I
was
go on's got U-turns in it.
I was like, relax. It felt like I was like all over the place, like just trying to do too much, and I guess really trying to catch up because again I left so much later. Then I was in a tornado or twister like within the first hour and a half. I wasn't even 200 miles into it. Like it was so
Wow.
nice. I had my coat open and it was like blowing and I felt good, and then like it was blowing too much. I had put a screen over my touchscreen because when it rains it would always change it, so it was blowing all like that. And I'm like, shit. I pulled over to tape it down. Then the sky went from blue to dark gray. And I was like, and then Reef called, where you at, darling? I was like, well, I just pulled over to take my screen down. I said, but I think the weather's changing. He was like, yeah, he said it's getting a little windy here. And I was like, oh, snap, it's a twister. So with my other phone, I recorded it. And like, you can see it like,
Oh, wow.
I was like, I'm gonna call you back. I gotta get out of here. And I was
No.
like, pulled
Time to
over. And like
go.
the guy pulled over. Why was I in the eye of it for like an
Wow.
hour? Like I was like, I gotta get, it was just like
No.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, I called Nancy, like, Nancy, I had to get off the road. I said, so can I take a meal bonus or a rest? She was like, there's no meal bonus. Like, you just started. And she was like, the rest doesn't take place until like 8 p.m. And at this point, like I said, it was like 4:30. I'm like, what am I supposed to do for 5 hours? I was like,
Keep them
Lord,
wheels turning.
it cars were pulled over. That's how dark it was. Like, and you know, like when it rains down like your visor, I was literally trying to look through the raindrops, like the clear, like you know,
Mhm.
when the line comes down, that's when you
Yeah,
can see the best because everything else is like foggy. And like my
yeah.
pin lock was like all fogged up. So I'm like trying to like look for the white lines. It was to the point that I had to just pull everything in and just stop. And so thank goodness the car that stopped behind me stopped because the tractor trailer whooshed around him. And I was like 2 feet from the shoulder.
Oof.
I just walked over there and I was like
Oh,
trying to like wipe everything off, get myself together. I was like, is this what the next 11 days are going to be like? Because if so, I called my broker, like, I need to add a little more coverage to my insurance policy. Like, really? I was like, they were like, well, he's not available. He'll call you back. I said, please have him call back as soon as possible. Like literally, and he didn't call me back until Thursday. And because I wasn't in the state, I had to open a policy, and my mom had to be the owner of the policy because Eric didn't answer the phone. No one else was in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, let me get somebody on this line because something's not. I just it was a lot. Hot
Crazy.
Wheels, Rachel. How you doing, girl?
Hi, how are
So
you?
we are talking. We're in the winner circle. I still feel like a winner because we made it out of it. Because
I'm in the D, what is it? D and F circle. Did not finish. Let's
no,
talk
but
about it. Let's
we're
talk about
still
it.
the fact that again, and I can't wait to talk to Paul. He said he was busy for the next few days,
Yeah.
but the fact that 47 riders did not complete this thing. I wonder, does that make, remember he came out in his cape? So I wonder, does he feel like, yes, I
Of
accomplished
course
what
he
I set
does.
out to do?
Of
Like,
course he
is
does.
that his
He
goal?
outsmarted
Like,
everybody.
That's what I'm wondering. Like they keep
There were
wanting,
also 50 rookies though. I feel like, I mean,
but there are
I
only
don't think they've
50
ever had that many
practitioners.
rookies before.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
but
lot of
even
rookies.
The
Yeah.
more rookies, the more propensity for. I'm not that a veteran can't DNF. That's not what I'm saying. Plenty of them do, but
yeah,
a rookie is more
It was a
likely to
good
DNF.
rally.
It
I
was
mean,
great.
a rookie won. All
yes,
right. So,
mhm,
rookie female won, badass.
Shout out to Nicole Musey, man.
yes,
Absolutely.
She's a
yes.
She's a
badass,
boss,
dude.
boss babe.
Yeah.
No, like I thought I had a lot of fun. What was cool about it for me, um, I got to check off a whole bunch of states that I had been waiting. Um, let's see, Washington, Oregon. I discovered that Washington and Oregon has a ton of sand dunes. I had no idea that the landscape was even so remote and so desolate on the eastern side. I just knew we were going to be like in cities, we're going to be jamming down the highway. There was one point where I literally asked Reef and he got so pissed. He was like, I was like, where are we going? I was so confused because I did not anticipate that that's what the landscape was going to be. I really thought like, are we going to Death Valley? No, we're not. We're going to the bonus. Like, don't you have it on your phone? But I just was not familiar. I apologize, and I learned so much about our country and the New England area. Like same thing. We were just so locked in by trees and I couldn't believe the further north we got, the more desolate it was and just how sleepy these towns are. Pretty much everything shuts down at like 7, 8 o'clock. There's not a whole lot of hustle and bustle. And I was very ignorant to that. I just thought, the rest of the country is like where I'm from. If you want quietness, then you go away from some of those like major city areas. But I mean, goodness, anything upstate New York and above, it was desolate. I ended up once I left the bonus from Maine, I decided I wasn't going to go to Canada, and so I went to Montpelier. And when I left that Maine area, my GPS kind of routed me the wrong way for about an hour. It was trying to take me down dirt roads, and so I was like, let me go back to where I was for my meal bonus and started over. And then I put in Montreal or Montpelier into the Apple GPS instead of using Google, and it routed me correctly to Montpelier. And even though we were on a major highway, I think I saw two cars. I saw more signs for moose than anything. So I thought, oh, shoot, like this is serious. Like I need to really pay attention and keep my wits about me. A little baby fox ran across the road out of the dark real quick.
I saw
But
a baby fox in Yellowstone too.
oh yes, so in the in Yellowstone with the rain, that brought out a lot of animals, and one just went right by this car and me, just kind of trotting along the road, and it was a fox that was soaked but unfazed. Like most of the animals are used to human presence, but it was really cool. Like in the pitch black darkness, this little baby runs out, runs back, and I have hit a deer last year, as you know, Tamika, from Black Wall Street. And so that kind of taught me when it's dark like that and you don't have a lot of vehicles on the road, you need to slow down, like even go under the posted speed limit so you have time to react. And so that's my strategy. I don't mind riding at night. I actually love it. It's pretty exhilarating. And I just try to be more aware, slow down, and I finally arrived at Montpelier, and it's like, there's literally nobody. There's nobody. Where are the people? And from there, I took a picture of the bonus that was in that town. It was like a statue,
Button got bounced out.
Oh,
and
Sorry, you guys.
made it to Canada. And this guy, the agent, is like, "You're just by yourself? Like, where's everybody?" I'm like, "No, I'm on a motorcycle trip." And at this point it's like almost 2 or it is 2
Hey,
a.m.
Piper,
and
I
I'm
got
like,
bounced out by accident. I
what's the
apologize. I
nearest
came out
hotel?
to
And he's like, it's 30
join them
minutes
so fast
away.
I
And
didn't run away.
do you have do you have any weapons on you? I'm like, no, like I'm just here, you know.
Nothing.
And he let me through, and
Okay, I'm
so
gonna go.
it
I'll
was
hit the
pretty
chat button to
cool
see what happens.
to do that.
Oh,
So quickly, like, because going through Canada is something else. So Bill, when you guys did your 2023 run, you guys went through Canada as well. Was that in preparation for the IBRs? Because you guys did a whole like world
Hard to answer
tour.
this question.
You said you can't answer it?
We're having audio problems on our end. Can't hear anything. Nothing.
Oh, okay. You got to fix your audio. I was asking about Canada. She was
I
saying
think we have
how.
T-Mobile here.
Oh, you did. They're going to try to fix it. See if they can
we're
get it
back.
together. So he allowed you to just go on your word to say that you didn't have any weapons. He didn't really check.
Yeah, I think he was taken back by there is a black lady on a motorcycle, 2 a.m, you know, coming through the border, like with nobody, you know, there's nobody, or no, there's literally nobody. And he just couldn't believe it, you know, like this lady's by herself. He took me at my word. um the exchange probably took about 10 minutes and I was on my way.
Oh, that was good. So he didn't
Yeah.
hold you up.
Larry's
Like,
here.
No. Yeah, no. He probably
That's not for
thought
you.
this lady's crazy. Good
That's for
luck, you know, like cuz you're going to need it. And yeah, he's probably never seen people like driving through that late. And I'm sure he's aware of like the animal presence and things like that. Like, wow, she just came from Vermont and at this late at night. His face was like, I would never do that. I would never do this. What she just did.
so he's probably like, go ahead. You probably need a weapon.
Yeah.
So this was the first bonus.
Yeah.
So
Like,
Carlos, this is the one that Reef got that you didn't get. That's the one that was close to where we started.
yeah.
That was
There was a gob of people there. Nomad was there. Dell was there. It was like hysteria over there.
oh, that was cool. That was cool. So Stella, did you guys get your mic fixed back? Oh, maybe it's not working still. Did you get your mic back together? Oh, she can't hear me. Oh no. I
It's
don't know.
gone through
what's
to my hearing
happening.
aid.
Yeah, she can. Did it fix? Is it working again, Chris, or no?
Yeah, sorry, it went through to my hearing aid.
Oh, so I was asking. Rachel was talking about going through Canada. I know you guys did a whole tour in 2023. When you went through Canada, was your experience the same, or was it different? And Carlos, I know you
Sorry,
have to get ready to
I
go.
missed the comparison.
Oh shit, I do.
So
Bye. See you guys. Congratulations, everybody.
Oh, and let's see yours really quickly. I didn't see. Tell us really quickly who is this lovely young chap here.
That's my guy. That's Fernando. That's my final audio bonus. What makes it worth everything on the road and coming home to him and in one piece.
And it was,
Yeah.
and you celebrated his third birthday,
His third
right?
birthday, yeah. So I actually sent my bike back to the shop on an enclosed trailer and flew home from Corralville so I could make his birthday party.
Oh,
Yeah.
Aww.
that
And I
is
flew
so
home, yeah.
nice. Well, I thank you so much for
Oh
coming
no,
on.
thank you for having me. I
That's
appreciate you
so
guys
Congratulations on
so
your
awesome.
victory.
much.
That was like
Thank
so
you.
awesome.
You guys are the best. I can't wait to see you guys.
Yes, you too.
Everybody,
You too.
keep the shiny side up, everybody.
Absolutely.
All
Yes,
right, take
absolutely.
care.
Later, Gator.
congratulations.
Bye.
See you later, Carlos.
So I was saying, Chris, like when you guys went around the United States in 2023, was that in preparation for the IBR in case
Yep.
like the route went that way? So Rachel was saying, what time were you there? Rachel, like when you
2 a.m. is when I arrived to the border.
and then so you rode, how long did it take you to ride through it?
So about 10 minutes, there was one other car in front of me, nobody behind me.
No, I mean in
Um,
Canada, period. Like when you saw the moose in the car and everything else.
zero. There was actually not even a street light. Like nothing. It was like complete darkness. Once I left Vermont, maybe saw 5 cars total on the highway, and there was 2 that eventually caught up to me, and the other 3 were headed down, like back towards, like New York and
Mhm.
that area. Otherwise, it was completely desolate, 0 people. When I got to the town of Vermont, I saw one lady that happened to be up the same time I was, just as I finished taking a picture of the bonus. She was a little taken back, like, what is this motorcycle person doing out here this late? Because everything like shuts down so early, and I did not realize that. I'm thinking people are going to be going to and from
Out.
the gas station, right? It's a tourist town. No, everybody goes to bed at like 8 or 9. Even the tourists. No, there's nobody hanging out. There's nobody outside, and I was like, that's not what I envisioned. And maybe if I had known that, maybe I would have chosen a different route. But
Mhm.
I went with it. I just
Was
went with
it
it.
was it like that for you guys, Chris, when you went over, or were you not there at night? Were you there earlier during the day when you
Well,
rode through
well,
Canada?
so we did the Trans Canada ride. We went from Nova Scotia over to Vancouver, so it's 4.5 days of riding, with four night stops along the way. So when we did that, we also, because we were also incorporating the Four Corners, we popped back down into Madawaska and back out. We did that with permission from the IBA, because in the Trans Canada rules it says you can't exit, you
Mhm.
can't leave Canada. But we queried that with them and said, look, we're coming down to get the Four Corners point and then going straight back into the same place. And they said, well, that's okay as long as you're not making progress in the US against Canada, then that's okay. So we did that. We ended up crossing the 4 borders, then in, and then out again. And every one of those border crossings was painless for us. It was
Hmm.
quite quick, easy, relatively easy to do.
But what
Um,
about riding in actual Canada? Did you ride throughout the night, or were you already bedded down when it turned dark? Were you afraid of like the moose, the wildlife, any of those things that were there?
we were very aware of the potential for wildlife while we're up there. Good auxiliary lights and stuff help when you're having to, push on.
Mhm.
Um, the Trans Canada Quest doesn't really provide that much extra spare time, so you can't really stop and avoid nighttime. You have to keep moving. It's kind of like a similar pace to what we were doing in the IBI. You can probably get off the road at 10 and back on at 4, that kind of thing. But not much more than that. So yeah, we had a great time going through Canada, and as you say, not much traffic. You end up being an easy target there in terms of speeding, and obviously the they do police that, and the speed limits are lower as well. So you just got to be quite moderate when you're going through that way. We didn't realize we actually got stopped, not because we were speeding, and we were going through a township there, and we saw a police car off to the left there, and we looked down and we're not speeding, so we thought, well, we're fine, and we carried on, and in a minute or so, this guy's behind us with the lights lit up, and we're thinking, well, it can't be for us because we weren't speeding, so we're sort of carrying on a little bit and pulling over to let him go through. Well, no,
He
he's
pulls
he's
over
actually
with
he,
you.
he, he's actually pulling us in, and we're like, oh, well, what's going on here? So we had a chat with the friendly Ontario policeman there, who informed us that radar detectors are illegal in Canada, in
Oh.
all but 2 states. Sorry, provinces, all but 2 provinces. And we were quite open to confessing that we did have it on there because we didn't know. We were completely ignorant to that fact. He came up. He said, "Oh, have you got a radar detector on your bike?" And Bill said, "Well, yes, I do. There it is." And he came up to me. He goes, "And have you got one too?" And I said, "Yep, it's there." And he went, "Hmm, you can't have them here, don't you?" And we're like, "Oh, okay." Um, so he was happy to detain us and chat with us for 45 minutes while we were on the clock.
Ugh.
And he was generous enough to let us leave with them because he could have confiscated them from us. But he said, "Well, take them off and
I was going
put
to
them
say, did
away.
he ask you to put them away?
Yeah, take them off and put them away in your bag." He said, "I don't want to see them back on your bike again. Make sure that don't put them back on your bikes until you've passed at least the next and the next town, because some of my other officers are in those as well." But he was parked up with his radar detector running, and as we went past the front of his car, he got a
Oh, they said that you guys had radar
yeah,
detectors.
yeah. So
Wow.
that was all he needed to come and pull us in and investigate and then issue us, what was it, Bill, about 110 dollar fine each.
Oh no,
What?
he
He
still
didn't
fined
just give
you?
you a
Yeah,
warning?
he fined us, but I guess that's how the Canadians make money out of their tourists. So
Ah,
that's fine. We were happy. We were quite. I mean, he didn't confiscate them, and it would have cost us more to replace them than the $110 fine. So at the end of the day, we counted that as a win. And we were ignorant. We didn't do that deliberately. We had them off the bikes for a good period of time after that.
now
And
I'm sure. I'm
I
sure.
did the Trans Canadian Highway from Montreal, Quebec to the entry point from Ontario into Michigan. And I was a little saddened that when I saw I was only 700 miles away from that Michigan POI. But it said, based on the speed in Canada, it's going to take 14 hours, which traditionally that would take only 9 or 10. So I did get stuck in rain coming down from that. I took a 1 hour nap after I made it to Michigan to the bonus. It was torrential downpour. And I thought I only have 9 hours to get to the Lion back in Illinois, and then I need to get to the checkpoint. But miraculously, somehow, I took a 1 hour nap somewhere between 1 and 2 a.m. once I crossed into Michigan. And then I got back on the bike, was riding through nothing but rain. There were deer everywhere, not a car really in sight. I was able to get behind like a truck at a semi truck at one point, and then another Jeep at one point to kind of trail behind them. But when I didn't have anybody, I just slowed down, and I use my horn a lot too. Like, I don't know if you guys try that method, but it seemed to work to alert the
You're the
deer,
deer.
and they would run away or they would at least lift their heads up, and so I felt pretty confident and comfortable. But it just would not let up. And so I get to the last bonus, I submit my loop. It's 7:30, and I'm like, I just need gas one more time and I can get to the end by 10:30 and back in Coralville. So I follow the GPS, which it's taken me through some back roads through Illinois to get to the Iowa side. And I'm now at my final gas station, turn the bike off, pump my gas, and I turn it back on and it doesn't turn on. It's 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Harley happened to be 15 minutes away, but naturally they're not open. And so I call Paul and I'm like, I'm going to be a DNF. I don't, I'm going to try to get this resolved. Maybe it's my battery, but it's not starting for some reason. So I get an Uber over to the Walmart, get a new battery, open up the battery, drop it in, still doesn't do anything. The electric's turned on, but the engine is not starting. And I try to push start it. Nothing's happening. I'm like, how is this possible? I'm just 180 miles from the finish. From the finish, I rode all night long. And it did happen because I rode in the rain. The switch pack on the motorcycle, I guess, got burnt up. And it was just miraculous that I made it even that far. And the fact that the bike wouldn't like broke down 15 minutes from a Harley shop was a miracle. Anywhere else, it would have been like this huge ordeal with the tow and all this other stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so finally, when I realized like I'm going to be a DNF, there's no resolving this. I let Paul know. I'm like, what if somebody brings me their bike? But at this point, it's 10 o'clock. It's going to take them 2 hours to get me 2 hours. It's just drama. And so the Harley shop sends their truck. We try to install the new battery again just to see. Didn't do anything. And sure enough, they get to the shop, immediately puts it on the lift, and they're like, oh, yeah, the switch pack now has the motherboard all on one piece where they used to separate them. And he goes, these things go out all the time, and if you rode in rain all night, that's probably what did it. And I'm like, damn, like, I'm so close. How does this happen right here? So my rally was done. It was
Gee.
over, and it took only 30 minutes to repair it.
Oh my
He's
God.
like, this is the third one this week that we've had.
This is terrible.
So
That's
Yeah.
sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'd had everything submitted. I don't know if I had any denials or not, but I felt like I ran a really good rally
Yeah.
and submitted my loop. Just needed to get to the checkpoint DNF.
That's terrible. Well, of course, are you going to ride it again in 2027?
I don't know. That was a lot of heartache. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's a lot of heartache, time and money, and like my whole office and all my colleagues, just everybody was so hyped about this, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if I want to do that
Do it
again.
again. So, Chris, you guys, are you running it again? Because you're gold finishers. You're gold finishers. This wasn't your rookie year. You succeeded in 23 and in 25. Like, what's your heart saying?
Well,
What's your
I just
juices saying?
I just want to say a word to Rachel before we start on that. Rachel, give it a few weeks.
Okay.
Let it settle.
I don't
You
want to
might.
cry, but
No, I know, and I'm so sorry to hear that you came that close and it just was
yeah.
just out of reach.
Yeah.
That's terrible. And look, you did the hard work. You were all but there, right? So
Yeah.
you can do it. If it doesn't sit right with you, if you end up feeling like you have unfinished business, then I'd encourage you to go and give it
Yeah.
another shot. But
Paul said it.
it could take you a few weeks to get your head around to that point where you think that it's worth another
Yeah.
go. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so are we going to do it again? Coming into this one, we'd pretty much said that this was likely to be our last one, just because there's things like the guttering on the house that needs replacing, and I've been putting that off for like a couple of years, while we've been prioritizing all sorts of stupid, selfish stuff. Um, and there's family to go and see in the UK as well next year, and so I think. I said to Paul at the end of this, I said we'd decided before we came into this that we were unlikely to do next year's. So if you don't see our name on the entry sheet next year, please don't take that as a reflection on how we felt about this year's. This year's was great. This was brilliant, and we loved every minute of it. Um, but at this point, I think Bill, you're pretty much of the same decision, aren't you? You're done.
You can't see.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
We're,
because where else is there your gold? Your gold finishers, like so.
and realistically, we don't have the as Bill said, one of our primary goals this year was to have fun, right? And I think that that directly conflicts with any goal to do well, like to do top 5 or top 10 finishes stuff.
Hmm,
You
hmm.
can't go in with the intention of having fun if that's your goal. You have to
Yeah,
completely change your mindset.
you have
And I
to
don't
change your
and I
mindset.
don't think that we I've been very happy to do 2 IBRs with Stella as a pillion. Um,
Yeah,
and
that
I
must
think
be something too. Like just 12,000 miles across unfamiliar terrain with a passenger is just,
and we get to do it together, and it's been a fantastic experience as a result. It's been really
yeah,
good. But there's times where even in this rally where I said to Bill, oh yeah, well I'll see you shortly, I've got some precious cargo on the back, you know and I'm maybe being a little bit more tentative, holding back a little bit more, because the bike's very, very heavy. It's fully loaded with two
absolutely.
people and all the luggage and everything else that we've got, and the auxiliary tank and all that kind of thing as well. So in terms of making progress through traffic and all that kind of stuff, I have to be a little bit more cautious. Anyway, all of this sort of amounts to, I don't know that we could do
The
current
third one.
in our current shape and form. I'm not sure that we could do any better than a gold level place, whether it be and I don't think we have the
Oh, like
points.
1 through 10 or something like that. Yeah.
We don't have the drive to compete with people
Yeah.
at that level. You know, it's they're doing things in a different way. They're taking different levels of risk. They're going harder and longer than we would want to, and so
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we'll achieve anything more than we already have.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I understand that. Yeah. But
I
that's a great run too.
I'd
Yeah.
be I'd be really happy to spend my time and energy now being sort of like a good ambassador for this kind of thing instead, and trying to talk other people into giving it a shot, giving it a go.
And
Um,
I swear, I said that same thing. I thought I was going to be like one and done. I really just wanted the 3-digit number. And I was like, I want to be a volunteer. I want to help like facilitate it. I want to help like scout out locations. I want to, be like one of the masterminds behind like the theme and how you go about it and all that stuff. But now I got to run it again to get my number. And
I
well,
think that would be
then
fun to scout. And I saw that John Kerr was one of the scouts, and him and his daughter did two up at the last IBR, and I just fell in love with them. They were just so cute, and I
yeah,
reached out to her, to let her know I was doing this, and so we just kind of
hey,
chit chatted, and
it's Kaylee,
she
isn't it?
was, yeah, she said
Yeah.
she was going to volunteer for this one, so I'm pretty sure she rode with her dad to scout some spots, but it's just really cool. Like you can still be involved,
yes,
you
without
know.
being crazy trying to
Yeah.
run through it. Yeah, but
Mhm.
again, being there to, like you said, help people, help,
Yeah.
get, give advice or like, help, organize some things, or if someone has like a misunderstanding or needs a better breakdown, just being able to do that, like being in a different capacity to be able to help people navigate it. Like I'm more of a helper type thing, and I wanted to really be able to do that, but I don't have a choice. Like I gotta do it in 27.
Yeah.
I have to.
and
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 I
I'm
know
sure
it'll be different. Because this
yeah,
one was with the loops and everything. It just was a different rally, and so I
Oh, so
know
nice.
it'll
Oh
be
my
very
goodness.
different.
yeah, the goodies were great, weren't they?
They were,
Mhm.
yes, like, man. Oh, does anyone have their cup? I didn't get to see the cup because I didn't make it back. Like, what's
I
the
didn't.
cup?
I do have it, but I'm at work, so I didn't bring it. But you got two shirts, a cup, some stickers,
And they said that there's we have a
a
bike
puck.
plate.
Yeah, but you don't want to use it. It's like the Valkyrie one where it's almost like porcelain. Like it's more artsy, decorative than I would not want to use that.
Oh,
You could
I,
break
I'm,
it.
I'll go and get my cup.
you're gonna get your cup.
I have my cup here.
And your puck will have your name on it. It's engraved.
Oh, that's so nice too.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the swag was swagging.
Mhm.
Really, really nice.
In
Really,
that leather folder, I put my iPad in the front pouch. So that was really cool to kind of,
yeah, it
cross
fits it in.
reference
Mm-hmm.
and have them close.
And then we have Dell too, another rookie. She was a top 10
Yeah.
finisher. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
John hit a pronghorn and had to switch bikes. How miraculous is it that he did that close to his home in Colorado and was able to go get another motorcycle and
isn't that
still be a top finisher? Like, come on,
isn't that
dude.
crazy?
That is so dope.
That is. Oh, look at that. Yes, yes, yes.
Hey,
Okay,
Cup.
so it says the Iron Butt 2025 World's Toughest Motorcycle Competition, and then on this side, it's got the logo with the
Your
name
name
and
and
number.
number. That's pretty
And you
dope.
that is really dope. Yes, that's really, really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
very special.
Man. Well, I'm waiting for my and I did I requested the other leg B and C because I feel like I want to go back because we chose two not easy ones because none of this was easy at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the 91 and the 11 was essentially given to you. You just had to route it, you know what I mean, to optimizing and get through it. But you didn't know if you were a looper what you were getting in B and C. You know what I mean? To be able to obtain all of those points. So I want to go back and actually do a route with A, do a route with B, do a route with C, and just see how my navigation is, how my routing is, see what my points would be, because they give you all the standings of like the top 10 people. And I just want to know, like, and I don't, my boss will be like, you think you're taking 2 more weeks off to go play around on the
Tell
road?
them they got 2 years to plan, 2 years to find somebody to cover you.
Listen, so that's really
Carlos is looking for a new job because he said, you know what? If you guys aren't going to support me, then you don't need me. How about that? You can work on backfilling all of my shifts because in your mind, if that's easier, then I'm going to leave. Oh, there's the
there's
lobster.
a lot. So that
So, so this is Larry.
Hi, Larry.
but Larry did not count. Did Larry count because they said no plus? You needed a real
No,
lobster
no, no, no,
claw.
no. Okay, all right. So the story with our lobster is that we got our lobster claws in Maine on day 3,
Okay.
and they were bagged. They were triple bagged, and at the time they hadn't told us that it wasn't a DNF penalty if you didn't bring the
Oh,
lobster claw back. They told us it was mandatory, and we believed that if you didn't bring it back, we were going to fail, right? So we thought that's our gold at stake. If we don't do it, we're done, right? So.
And you had
Um,
3 lobster claws?
No, we only need so strictly
Oh, two.
me and Stella were one
Right.
rider number and Bill was another rider number. So we needed to bring two
Two.
lobster claws back. So Bill sensibly offered to tie them on the outside of his bike, but we sort of talked about it and said we don't want to risk losing them if it's a DNF, right?
But you could have ate them and just brought back the empty claw.
So the way that we found them was on the fly going down through Maine. We located a seafood like market.
Supplier, yeah.
Yeah, seafood supplier, and we called them. They weren't too far off the route. They were, just a jump off and a back on. So that was perfect. And Bill called them. He shared the call through on the comm so we could hear what he was saying. And he did his normal charm. And he was like, "This is gonna sound crazy, I know, but this is what we're doing." So he told the guy John what we're up to, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll sort you out. I'll hook you up. Just drop in." So we went through there, and anyway, we had this thing stuffed in my top box because we didn't want to lose it, right? So it sat in my top box for 8 days, and it's while it was triple bagged, it stank. We could smell it from 5 meters away whenever we opened the top box. All of the clothes that we had in there, including our heated gear, our extra thermal layer, and everything like that, all stank of rotting seafood. And the top box itself still smells, right? That was why I don't know. I think it was day 6 or 7. There was an audio bonus where they told us, what shouldn't you have brought? What do you wish you'd left
The
at home?
lobster.
And I recorded an expletive. I was like, excuse my language. I said, I've got a fucking lobster claw in my top box here, which stinks to high heaven, and I wish I'd not had that with me. I wish I'd left that one at home. Um,
Oh my god. So you really were afraid to like strap it down to the outside of the bikes?
yeah, because at that time, as I say, they hadn't told us that it wasn't a DNF penalty.
It was worth
That
1 point. It
they
was
hadn't told. No, they okay. So they told us it was mandatory. They told us we each had to have one. Now, mandatory and each had to have one does not equal 1 point, and it's a soft penalty. And we only found that out through the nightly communications at around about day 8
8 or 9, yeah.
or 9, right? And then
yeah.
we're like, well, the damage is done because even every time we're taking that heated gear out and sticking it on and then warming it up, we're now smelling like dead, rotting, hot
Oh,
rocket, right? And every time we go into a petrol station and strip off to go to the toilet, right? The heated gear stink. The whole thing was just really the lobster claw thing was unpleasant, which is why they got that audio message from me. And no, when we turned up in Coralville, we thought we actually need a memento of the whole lobster claw thing. So we went on
yes.
Amazon, and these turned up just about an hour before we started. So this is now Larry. We called our stinky lobster Larry. Larry took on a persona, and we were saying, "Oh, Larry's still with us," Anyway, so we got two of these, one for Bill, one for us, and these guys are going to come home with us now. So meet
Larry
Larry,
the lobster.
Larry
Hello, Larry.
the non
The
non stinky
non-stinky
this
to
non
high
stinky
heaven
lobster.
lobster.
That's right. He smells quite good.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we didn't find out it was worth 1 point either because Rachel got a whole bag of them. Was like, hey, if you need claws, blah blah blah. So I reached out to Brandon, like, don't fret, like, because he couldn't find one. And then he called Paul, was like, hey, can I get one of hers? And he was like, no, that's outside assistance, but don't even worry about it because it's only 1 point.
No, really? Outside assistance. That's hardly outside assistance. The bag has like a million claws in there. Somebody can take a claw.
So we were joking.
Yeah.
We were joking today about how Iowa is going to be overtaken by this strange-smelling seafood smell, and it's going to hit the news soon. There's going to have to be an investigation as to why Iowa now smells like coastal seafood.
That is terrible. That is terrible. Well, this has been so lovely. I appreciate you guys' time and everything else. Like, this was my first time on StreamYard, so it was
John,
really it was good. Oh yeah, I saw that on Bill's. So what, you got that engraved? How? Where?
okay.
There?
All right. So there's a bit of a story behind this one. When we left Coralville, obviously, we're near Kentucky on the way through and all that kind of stuff, and Bill encouraged Stella and I to take a couple of days and to meander and do like touristy things and have some time and all that kind of thing. And so we're big bourbon fans, and on the way through, we decided we'd call in at the Jim Beam distillery. Jim Beam make Knob Creek, and they make Basil Hayden or Basil Hayden as well. And on the tour, they gave us an opportunity to pick a bottle and get it filled for us, custom filled in front of us, and also then do a custom seal on it at the top.
Wow.
And then if we wanted to, we could pay an extra $10 in the gift store and get it laser etched with whatever we wanted on the top.
That is the
So, so Stella and I thought that we would get this as a memento, and we'll take the empty bottle home. The plan is this is 120 proof. This is 60%. It's going to take us a few nights, but we've got a few nights. We fly out on Friday, so the three of us are going to be trying to demolish
then
this
you're
bottle.
going to be knob creaking it for the next 3 days. And
That's
then when you
right.
get home, you can just do colored water to put in there to put it on the shelf.
No, we'll fill it with more. We'll fill it with more bourbon, and we'll use it as a decanter. I think it'd be fun to
Oh,
actively use it. Yeah.
that'll be nice. Do you make your own bourbon or you'll just buy bourbon and fill it up?
Now we just buy it. We
You just
couldn't.
buy
We couldn't make bourbon as well as they do.
it. Man, that is awesome. That is nice, nice. So hopefully when I get to New Zealand for my mission for Tyler, maybe you'll have some bourbon in there and I'll be like, hey, I need a shot.
There we go. Yep.
Which will be
Good stuff.
fabulous. So I thank you guys so much. I love how like the Abbey R becomes like an extended family. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, because once you go through something so like intense, it's like you can't not
There's a
love
common.
the
There's a.
people that you.
There's a common bond, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, you want to now in a capacity probably help new riders, because you've been successful twice now. So you may not have the time to do all 11 days and get over here, but anybody can reach out, anybody can, ask you questions maybe. So you seem to be a base camp guru too, because you took it all the way down to Wednesday night minus, a couple bonus locations, like, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, I think if we see any other New Zealand riders coming in and entering in the next few years, then I'll consider that we've been successful
Mm-hmm.
in getting some other people to set some goals and then work towards them. I think it can take 2 years. I really do think it in a normal cycle. I think it can take 2 years to prep for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, and I know for myself, I'm going to be working on that again. And not that I thought it was going to be like easy, but the medical aspect of it, now that I know a little bit more about it and understanding. And like I said, I talked to Pat Cornell. He experienced it in the 2022 Hoka Hey. Talking to Nicole this morning, she's been through a lot of things too medically, and prepares differently. Kinky has like the guards that she uses, that she straps around her wrist, like when she's riding Reef. Too has been through the different swellings and those. Now that I know that it's a thing, because I've never experienced it before, I can
Right.
be better prepared, like, you know what I mean, and not be one of my issues, like, you know what I'm saying, like, because that was just so detrimental to my finish. And had I been better educated on it, I wouldn't have had this issue, like, you know what I mean, because my bike was fine. That's where my real concern was, because my bike can be a stinker. He has been through so much stuff, and I'm just like, is this motorcycle going to survive? I was already prepared for the 50% penalty if I had to switch bikes. I was already ready for it. Like, that's why I got so many other bonuses, because I'm like, if they have to take points away, they can have them, like, but it wasn't even my bike, it was me. So yeah. But I appreciate you guys so much. I love you so much. And I hope to see you soon. Keep the rubber side down, sunny side up, like they say.
Yeah, take care. And I'm so sorry that you both missed out by such a small margin. You guys are rock stars.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
that. We appreciate it. Just
Yeah.
getting through it was, again, a victory for me. And it's in anything that doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
That's right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm definitely ready for it. She gonna be back too. Don't you
Good.
even worry about it.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
gonna be right there.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
Hey, well,
yeah.
there's another option. You two could form a team.
We talked about that. Remember, we talked. That's the first thing she said. Would it be better? Yeah, we talked about that, and that may be it. We got to get a good name, so maybe you guys can think of a name for us.
Well, what I mean,
Frickin' frack.
you could, you could keep the name Team Fafo living if you wanted to. You could adopt it. We've got some designs done.
Oh, that yeah, we might have to f around and find out. And it's been successful. It has been very successful. Yeah, I
There we
like
go.
that. I like that a lot. We'll have to reach out to you guys, make sure that that's okay. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Yes.
All right, guys.
But I appreciate you guys. See you later, Gators.
See you later. Bye
See you
bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.